En soos gebruiklik het Lindie baie interessante gas vandag in die ateljee. Lindie, goeiemôre. Ek kan nie wag om te hoor nie.
Good morning, and Christy, so happy to be here again. And of course, welcome to our guest, Barry Greyvenstein, and his business is called Mediation Academy. Welcome, Barry.
Thank you, Lindie. What an absolute privilege and pleasure to be here.
Yeah, of course. So to get us started, Mediation Academy, I suppose the word says it all. But what is it that you do?
Sure. So my job is split into two parts. I'm a mediator first and foremost. And then we've got an academy where we train people to become mediators. So I think maybe a good way to answer the question would be, what is mediation?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to. Well, I sort of think I know, but I think it's best for you to explain.
Absolutely. So mediation is definitely getting more traction in the media. More and more people are starting to find out about it. But in short, what I do as a mediator is I insert myself into an active legal conflict. And so, for instance, let's say, for instance, two parties, let's call them mom and dad, are going through a divorce. So instead of each of them getting an attorney, what they would do is they would approach a mediator. And as the mediator, my job is to help navigate mom and dad through all the different options. And ideally, where we want to go is we want to arrive at a unique settlement out of court. Something that's going to work, not just for mom and dad, but for the whole family.
That's quite interesting. But you're right. I've been hearing a lot about mediation. So the $1 million question is, Barry, how did you end up being involved in mediation and starting this academy?
Sure. So in my early 20s, I was working at a law firm, and it was a really great law firm, and they were really good at what they did. And so one day, I escorted the SAPS to go and collect a little 4-year-old girl from her grandmom, her grandmother, after our client won the case. And so the custody, back in those days, we still called it custody. The custody was awarded to the father, and it was heartbreaking.
I can imagine.
And so I thought, nope, family law's for the birds. I am dodging family law. And years later, somebody tells me about mediation, and it just snaps into place that. And I realize, wait, there's a better solution. We don't need to destroy families to get through legal conflicts.
Oh my gosh. And I can actually, Barry, I can see you being emotional about what you're saying. So it's like there's a deep-seated connection between who you are as a person and what you do. Am I right?
Absolutely. I believe that each of us are on this planet for a reason. And this is my reason.
This is your purpose. Your purpose has found you.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So except for the fact that it's a better way to resolve conflict, you've also mentioned that it's now been it's been part of legislation. Do you want to just explain how all of that came about, and how is mediation now part of the legal process?
Absolutely. So there are some pretty big challenges in law right now. I mean, there's a number of different challenges. In South Africa, I'm sure I don't need to go on about the divorce statistics. The divorce rates are quite high. In South Africa, currently there are 21 million kids. And by far the bulk of these kids need maintenance. And so the societal ills are quite rampant. Now, what this has resulted in is our court rolls being quite congested. And so practically speaking, if you were to go to court and you would request a trial date, you would actually wait quite a while, right? And then when you appear before a judge or a magistrate, the process is rather unuser-friendly.
Absolutely, I can imagine. And it's normal people's lives that gets impacted by this whole process, right?
Absolutely. So South Africa has a secret weapon, and that is mediation.
Okay.
And what this means is, I think let me create the context for this. So over the last couple of years, under Rule 41A of the Uniform Rules of Court, cases have been referred for mediation as opposed to just immediately giving them trial dates. And what this has done is mediators have actually shown the public and the justice system that they are able to settle these cases outside of court.
Before they even get to court, right?
That's it. That's
Okay.
it. So obviously saving a lot of time and a lot of energy. And so from Rule 41A, we are now seeing new legislation being developed. And so the newest one is the Family Dispute Resolution Bill. And under this bill, it is going to be necessary for people to seek mediation before they can get a trial date at court, not just in the higher courts, but also in the lower courts, which is really where the action happens.
Okay. So you've got to prove that you've gone through a process of mediation before you are awarded a court date, of course. So, yeah, Chrissy, an interesting concept, Barry, and of course, I've got a million questions to ask you, but what a wonderful way to go is finding more humane ways of dealing with normal human conflict. And I'm really inspired by that. So we'll be back right after this.
Absolutely. After this, back with the Business Lunch with Coach Lindie. We are busy with Business Lunch with Coach Lindie. Lindie, so tweede sessie.
Conversation with Barry, Mediation Academy. So, Barry, is there a specific area of conflict that you prefer handling? What is your field of expertise?
Yes, absolutely. So we focus on family law mediation. And if you check on our website, our stated purpose is very specific. So we recognize that in any family law issue, there's a small window of opportunity where a mediator is able to reach in and really touch the lives of all of those family members. And ideally what we want to do is to interrupt the cycle of generational trauma.
Gosh, yeah. And I think you also mentioned that your practice name is a very interesting name for your practice. It's called?
Alternative divorce.
Exactly, because it's almost like if we can't get along, the only alternative is divorce. And am I right in saying mediation explore other possibilities, other options available, at least get the parties talking and getting them back to a place where we can talk and we can find a solution. Is that correct way of looking at it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we explore a very wide range of solutions to the problem. Some of those solutions involve not getting a divorce in the first place.
Oh, wow.
But let's say, for instance, you are planning on getting a divorce. Let's see what that looks like. Let's see what the implications are for yourself, for your children and your family. And of course, people don't realize that if you do go through a divorce, both yourself and your ex-spouse, both of you will undergo a process of change, right? Because you're becoming a new person.
New identity, new circumstances, new everything, right?
Absolutely. So for those who are willing to do it, you can already make those changes now and not get a divorce.
Oh, I'm with you. Okay. So have you got any idea what's your success rate in terms of people not ending up in the divorce court?
Sure. So not ending up in divorce court, we successfully mediate 93% of our cases.
Wow, that's quite impressive, right? 93%.
Sure.
How does it make you feel, Barry?
Personally fulfilled.
Personally fulfilled,
Very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, any specific highlights or cases that you just can think of as an example of how it went.
Well, I would love to tell you about what we're busy with right now.
Go for it.
Right. So we have recently created a zero math maintenance calculator, which essentially takes all of the thinking, it takes all of the math out of calculating child maintenance. And in the process of doing this, what we're doing is we are getting dads back to the table. Now, if you consider that the single biggest indicator for a life of crime is whether you have a dad living with you in the family or closely involved in the family. And what we're doing with a zero math maintenance calculator is we are able to jump over or bridge the skills gap of mathematics, in South Africa. And at the same time, we are getting both parents back to the table and we're putting them in a position where they are exploring different opportunities, different destinies for their children and their families. And we're getting the parents back, involved. So even if the parents are not having a relationship with each other, at least they can look after their kids.
So am I understanding it correct? Like a dad and mom fighting, heading for divorce, and then, of course, maintenance always part of the conversation, or the fight, the conversation and the fight. So are you saying that we take the calculation and the maths around support off the table, and how can dad still be involved in the lives of the kids?
Sure. So the mediator is going to use this tool.
Okay.
And it's not just open to mediators. So if you check on our website, you can actually just use the tool. And we're making free training available on the tool as well. And in essence, the mediator is going to use this tool to help the parents to visualize different paths, different opportunities available to them.
Okay, I get that. So anyone listening to us, Barry, who do you think is your target market for the Academy? I mean, is there any specific personality looking for? Can anyone become a mediator?
Certainly. That's a great question. So in terms of formal qualifications, you're going to need a 3-year tertiary qualification. Typically, people who study mediation are either, coming from a background in law or social work.
Or education, maybe.
Or education, yes. Yeah. Lots of entrepreneurs as well. But really what I'm looking for is not the formal qualification. Now, that certainly is part of it. What I'm looking for is purpose and vision.
Aligned with what this business is about and what you're trying to change in society. Chrissy, when we come back, of course, I'd like to just chat to Barry a little bit more in terms of how the actual mediation process happens. But what an interesting concept. And Barry, I'm just saying we need to get you back. There's so much that we need to cover. But we'll be back straight after this.
Well, we're chatting, or rather Lindie's chatting to Barry Greyvenstein, a Mediation Academy business lunch with Coach Lindie, last session. Lindie.
So we're talking to Barry about mediation and the important role that mediation plays as an alternative to resolving conflict and I think getting parties to have a conversation and finding better solutions that's more humane. So Barry, how does the mediation process actually work?
Certainly. So the process usually starts when one of the two parties contacts a mediator and says, well, I've got this problem. Please, can you help? Now, one of the cornerstones of mediation is impartiality and neutrality.
Of course.
And so what this means is I'm going to need to contact the other party, and I'm going to meet with each of the two parties individually, and then I'm going to assess whether I am the right person for this case.
Oh, also interesting question to ask, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, I'm going to tell both sides. I haven't decided whether I'm going to take on this case just yet. I want to hear your side of the story first. And so in doing so, you start building trust, which is absolutely necessary, because these people are going to tell you some very personal things about their lives. And we need that level of connection with the parties.
And trust, right?
Absolutely.
So Barry, here you are 100% immersed in this, what you call your purpose, to help people have a better outcome in terms of conflict. How did you end up moving from me, the mediator, to starting the academy? And what advice have you got for anyone out there listening to us today?
Absolutely. So I almost hesitate saying it because it's so far removed from everyday conversation. But I do believe in a divine purpose. And I believe that I was guided, and that my business partner, Monica, was also guided into creating this school with the purpose of going out there and making a difference. And so for us, purpose and vision are very, very important. And I have to give a shout out to Anne Barrett from Team Dynamics here in Somerset West, who helped us to absolutely crystallize our purpose and vision.
And which is? Do you want to just say that out in terms of what have you found your vision to be?
Certainly. So our vision is to make a very meaningful set of changes to society, where we are creating strong individuals by creating stronger families. And this necessarily involves the mission statement on our website. This necessarily involves two components. The first component is inserting ourselves into the case and then interrupting the cycle of generational trauma. The second component is to establish successful small and medium enterprises.
Almost a little micro, similar academies or training arms of what you guys are doing.
When I refer to SMEs, I'm referring to the actual mediators who we teach.
Yeah, and they can then go and become more stronger in what they do. So you obviously have a panel of mediators to available. So if I feel I'm not the best mediator for a specific conflict, then obviously you also has access to a panel of mediators.
Absolutely. So we've taught just under 600 mediators over the last 7 years.
Just repeat that again. How many?
Just under 600 mediators.
That's incredible. And are they all over the country or also?
Oh, yes.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yes. Some of them even internationally.
Oh, wow.
And the great part about our job is that regardless of where you are in the world, if you're able to connect with your clients over, say, a video call, you could work from anywhere.
And that's incredible. So the actual training, is it a hybrid solution? So you do it online or is it in person?
Right. So we've actually gave it a lot of thought. And what we landed on was creating a set of e-learning training videos where the theory component of the course is presented as e-learning video, where you can study in your own time. And when it comes to practicals, we'll meet on a live video call and we'll practice for 2 days. Just
That's
how to mediate.
incredible, yeah, and that makes it, of course, accessible to anyone and everyone out there. So what do you think is the people interested in becoming mediators? Are there a special trade or personality that you're looking for?
So that's a great question. So there are definitely traits that mediators share. Thinking out of the box, that's a big one. Mediators are typically trailblazers. So for me, the most important thing is your own drive and your vision, your reason for becoming a mediator. I'm much more interested in your future than where you're coming from.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. And I love the idea that trailblazers thinking out the box. And I think the ability to stay calm and not to be swept down a path of conflict and emotion, but to always stand clear and neutral and looking ahead in terms of what we are trying to achieve and taking the parties back to that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So we'll teach you the finer points. But what I'm looking for is raw talent.
So, Barry, unfortunately, time is always our enemy. And, certainly, Christy, we could keep on talking to Barry, but we'll have you back, Barry. For any listeners out there interested in getting mediation or being trained as a mediator, where can the public or anyone listening get hold of you?
Certainly. So check out our website, www.mediationacademy.co.za. And interestingly, in the month of September, we are also offering 2 scholarships. So if you're interested in a scholarship, send us an email. Our contact details are on the website, www.mediationacademy.co.za.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming in, Barry. And may we bless you with so much success. The world needs you. And, I can just imagine, being part of making this world a better place for all to live in.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lindie, and thank you, Helderberg FM.
Thank you, Barry and Lindie. I'll see you next week, same time here on Helderberg FM.